Rashi Mal, it's a pleasure talking to you, and I welcome you to How I Made It.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure talking to you as well.
Rashi, I in fact want to start straight away from Brahmastra, in which you
Right,
have a good role, instead
right,
of taking you the other way around, which we normally do in the interviews from where you started. Of course, we'll go back to that. Tell me about
right,
Brahmastra. It's really something plum that you have in your kitty.
right. Uh, Unfortunately, I'm not at liberty to talk about my part as such, but it's a fun part. It's a privilege to be a part of such a great project. I'm working with the best in the country, people who are at the top of their game. And yeah, when it came along, I just jumped on it. So it's really been great.
So, what was your first reaction when you got this offer? I mean, you had to get
You
it.
know,
Was there a little extra drive out there?
it all, I think with most things which are meant to be, I think it just happened very quickly. I tested with them, and the next day I was in. So I don't think I really had any time to process anything as such. And it just kind of happened. I think most things in my life it just happen like that. The things that are meaningful or worth talking about all just happen out of the blue when I'm least expecting it. And maybe that's the best way.
Yeah, I agree with you. But how has it been working with Ranbir Kapoor?
It's been really great. You read about people in the paper, you hear so many things about them, and you form some kind of mental image. And when you go on set, you really don't know what to expect. But he was nothing but gracious. He was very humble. The first reading that we had, he got like coffee for everybody. So it was very nice, very welcoming. Never did he or anyone else for that matter make me feel that they're so much senior or anything of that sort. So it's been really lovely. They're
Fantastic.
very professional. It's great. It's really great.
So you didn't have butterflies in your stomach when you did the scenes with him to start with, at least?
I again, like I said, I don't think I had enough time to process anything because it was just like go, 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 go from the minute I knew I was in it. So it was also quick. Thankfully, I didn't have time to have butterflies. I was just like test one day, okay, next day, third day on set. So I didn't really have time. And I'm glad that it was that way. Otherwise, I probably would have been intimidated.
Let's start, from the day, or rather, let's go back to how you started off your journey.
Right.
Can you tell us about your earliest memories of you entering
Sure.
the film industry and the TV industry?
Right. It actually wasn't like one point where I started. So I'd been training in acting, dancing, and singing from a very early age.
Hmm.
And at that time, I didn't know it was like, an option professionally because no one in my family has ever been in the performing arts. I'm literally the first lone torch bearer, so to speak. And now everyone's kind of living vicariously through me. But I studied engineering because I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I was a good student while all the training was happening on the side, plays were happening, competitions were happening, blah, blah. And then I think when I finished my education, I kind of knew that if I don't give myself a chance to do the things that I love, I'm going to wake up like 10 years from then feeling extremely miserable. And, I don't want to be like an old person with regrets. So I kind of just dove into it. One thing kind of led to another. It was very organic. Each project made me want to do something bigger and better. So I think, have climbed slowly, steadily. My driving force to get into the performing arts was actually literally just trying to find my truest expression because I was very shy and inhibited as a kid. And every time I used to look at people performing on stage, I used to feel such a sense of envy that I want that kind of freedom. I want to feel that comfortable in my skin. I want to feel that comfortable with who I am. And I think I was predominantly chasing that. And even if I look at my journey right now, professionally, of course, whatever has happened. I feel like personally, it's been such a graph of growth for me. And I think I want to kind of hold on to that more than anything else. How it changes me, how I grew as a person along the way. And as I grow, I notice better things come my way. As I improve, better things come my way. So,
As you said, you are the first in your family to enter television in Bollywood. I want to ask you, was there any kind of resistance which was put up by your parents when you told them that you want to become an actress?
not really. Honestly, again, because it wasn't like this one point where I got up and I'm like, ab mujhe acting karni hai. It was also organic that I think it kind of eased them into that whole idea as well. So there wasn't as much resistance as I would have thought there is, considering, no one in the family has done it. So I'm very grateful that way.
Fine. You had some of the best teachers in your early days, Makarand Deshpande, you had Jeff Goldberg, and then you also had Sunil Deshpande, right? So, who was the most strict of these three?
Who's the most strict? I think they're all equally like strict in their own way because they are sticklers for what they want. Having
That's
said
how
that, I
students
think
learn. So I want to know who. That's how students learn. So I want to know who was the most. I mean, no, this way only. Don't try to. What I've said, please follow.
I think
Stickler for
Sunil sir,
punctuality. Stickler for the how the scenes roll out.
I would say Sunil sir more because he has a very clear idea of what he wants. So like what he wanted was very defined, So I would say it would definitely be Sunil sir. Max though, I remember when I was like working on the play with him, he's a genius of another kind. He was writing the play as the rehearsals were happening. So it was developing as he was, rehearsing with us. And Jeff is very chill in the sense like he lets you do your own thing and he'll be stickler for time. Even he's a New Yorker, but he'll give you your leeway to kind of find yourself. So yeah, all very different, but all very special experiences for me. Let me just add that I have great respect for each one of them and what they do. So
Tell me one instance where you got pulled up and said, "नहीं, ये सही नहीं हो रहा है." And
ये सही नहीं हो रहा है. um it wasn't pulled up, but I think when I was working with Max, so I was playing a character which was very out there. And it was something that wasn't very inherent or like, it didn't come very naturally to me. So I definitely had to be pushed to bring that out, which I'm really glad for because like I said, I was so shy and inhibited that I needed people to pull me out. So that was definitely something that, stuck in my memory.
yeah, so that's what acting is all about. So वो क्या ऐसा कौन सा किरदार था जो आपके जहन में नहीं जा रहा था और आपको इनिशियली थोड़ा रुकावट आ रही थी?
So it was a little bit of I don't know if it's sexualized character, but it was a guy's fantasy. So it was in his dream how he envisions this woman. So she had to be a little sexualized, sensual. I would like to say sensual more than anything. And again, coming from a conservative upbringing, that's not something that I was comfortable embracing at all, The woman in me, the sensuality wasn't something that I was comfortable with at all. But I like I say always, you get the parts you need to play, and I think maybe I needed to play that part so that I could be comfortable, or at least be more comfortable than I was before with that side of my personality.
Fair. Any kind of rejections that came along when you went for your auditions?
Oh my God, all the time. All the time. I think as actors, they say, right, that actors face more rejection in 1 year than most people face in their lifetime. And it is brutal. it's brutal, especially when you're starting out. And I think I was so raw when I came in. I didn't know anything. I didn't know how to do my hair. I didn't know how to do my makeup. I didn't know how to present myself to people. I was just like this little kid in awe of everything, intimidated by everybody. And I used to be like, oh my God, wow, like, oh, theater, oh my God, oh wow, like movie. I don't know. I used to look at everybody and feel so in awe. And I've learned my lessons. There have been many. They've come the hard way. But it's like I was telling you earlier, I think maybe it needed to happen that way for me to grow up, to me to learn, for me to change as a person. There's so many things you learn along the way when you have to face with so much rejection. You have to learn how to be grounded. You have to learn how to be your own cheerleader. Those are things that I'm still learning, because it's never easy to be rejected. I had a casting director tell me, you're not talented, you're not good looking, blah blah blah, like, and it crushes your soul when you hear things like that, when people are so harsh. But I think I've finally gotten to a place where I feel very secure in my craft. At least, I feel like I know that I'm good at what I do, at the risk of sounding vain, because I've worked hard on it, and I continue to work hard on it. And if I think that I'm lacking somewhere, I will work to learn. So now I feel fairly more grounded, and I'm really grateful that I have my family with me in this city. I have such respect for anyone who's from outside who comes and tries to make it, because it is hard. It is hard. You need an emotional support. You need people to go back to who will cheer for you and be on your team when you come back home crying, which does happen. But hey, you pick yourself up, and if it's something that you truly care about, you keep at it. And I think eventually you find your place.
So today you want to go back to that casting director, or at least call him and say that, listen, I'm in Brahmastra.
Oh, that happened a while back. He only called me and said, Rashi, you was so good in your last project. I want to cast you. And I was like, I mean, I didn't say that to him, but in my head, I was,
So did
it's
you
like,
inform him
okay.
that you have Brahmastra?
No, he'll know. So I don't have to tell him. My work will speak for itself. I don't have to go settle first score.
You said you learned many lessons along the way.
Right.
And one of them was that you have not to be in too much awe, as I make out, and you have to be grounded.
Right. Right.
Which was the biggest lesson that you learned?
Definitely that if you don't believe in yourself, nobody. You have to first and foremost believe in yourself, because nobody will take a chance on you if you don't trust yourself. Nobody. That's been the biggest learning for me. And I think it sounds really small, but it really is life changing. The minute you carry yourself with a sense of belief, other people start taking you seriously.
So was there a time when you had stopped believing in yourself? Because you said rejections are a part of every actor's life, which you also experienced many a
Right.
times. In that,
It's cyclical, if I can be very honest, very cyclical, because it happens every now and then when you're faced with when there's something that you really want and it doesn't come your way. It does crush you a little bit.
yeah,
And at that time you have to remind yourself again. It's like, you feed yourself healthy food every day. Now you don't, like, after some time you don't stop and you're like, acha, abhi meri body healthy ho gayi, so now I have to stop. I can eat all the junk that I want. So you have to constantly feed yourself and remind yourself that you're good, and you've got this. And it's cyclical. It happens all the time. But you've got to remind yourself again, at the risk of repeating myself.
so when there are these moments when you are down, and
Right.
as we spoke about, you stop believing in yourself for a while before you gather
Right.
yourself again.
Right.
Who comes to your rescue? Is it just your own mind? Is it that much strong now, or do you have any other support system?
I live with my family, which I'm really grateful for. So definitely my parents, are a very big part of that. But I would also like to say that I think I'm on my own. Also, I've gotten a lot stronger. I read a lot, I listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen to a lot of videos, and I'm able to pull myself out of it. So, yeah, both a combination of both family, and I'm also very lucky to have some really, really good friends. So who are always there for me. some things I've done good in life. I think I've got a good bunch of people around.
So, Rashi, tell me, you have done quite a bit of web shows for now, and of course, you did Pradeep Sarkar's Eela, and now you're doing Brahmastra.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
you have forayed into these two mediums largely,
Right.
back and forth. What's the
Right.
difference that you feel when you
Right.
shoot for, say, Eela with Pradeep Sarkar or Brahmastra with Ayan Mukherjee, in contrast to the web shows that you have done? ये जो दो मीडियम्स हैं इसमें आपको कितने चेंजेस करने पड़ते हैं एक्टिंग के दौरान?
Right. I think it's mostly just the time constraint. Web shows shoot so much faster, and films take their own sweet time. Like each shot is nicely decorated, lighted, you know, and you have the luxury of doing it over and over again, or reshooting it. With web, the budgets are smaller, so it goes a lot faster. As an actor, acting process-wise, there's not much different. But yes, you have to ensure that you deliver that much faster and you're on point. You know, you don't have the luxury of taking your own sweet time. You just have to be on top of it in web. But I think it makes the transition that much easier, because then when you're on a film set, you're like, Ari, I got this. Like, if I can work like that, I got this. I can do this easily.
You have time to, have an error and rectify it. That's what you're saying.
Right. Just even to prep, like you have to make sure that everything is done before. There's no time on a web set to come and do that on set at all. All your conversations, your questions from the director that you have, everything needs to be done before.
So would you say that it's tougher to do a web series than to do a film? It requires much more effort. It requires much more dedication. It requires much more prep work to be ready in terms of all these factors.
I won't say like it requires any more dedication, because I think you have to be dedicated either way. But definitely, it's more taxing emotionally and physically to be on a web set, for sure.
What do you find easier when you're shooting? Is
Right.
it easier to cry, or is it easier to enact a comedy scene?
I think it's easier to do a comedy scene, because I think my first like foray into theater was with comedy, and I did a lot of comedy. So I feel like that really helps. Crying needs preparation. Like I need to really center myself and prepare, and before the shot kind of go into that zone. Comedy comes easier, I think, in that. Just from the amount of time of prep required. I'm a very emotional person, but physical tears, if I have to bring, I need to prepare a little. Emotional, I can. Physical tears, definitely.
Tell us about your experience with Kajol in Eela.
I was fully staring at her the whole time while DDLJ and Kuch Kuch Hota music was playing in my head. Literally, because I grew up watching her, and I used to have a poster of her in my room. So when I was on set, I was like, she was in DDLJ, she was in Kuch Kuch Hota Hai. It was my first time, working with someone who I'd grown up like looking up to or just emulating as a kid. So it was definitely very exciting. Yeah, it was literally like, you dream of these things and then they happen. It was quite nice.
You said you had no butterflies in your stomach when you shot with Ranbir, but did you have butterflies in your stomach when you shot with Kajol?
I did. Definitely did, because my first scene of the film was with her. And it was definitely had a lot of butterflies.
And did you go very smooth into it, or did you goof it up and retakes had to be done?
Our retakes had to be done because we were shooting a song and I was under a table and she had to pull me out. Yeah. And the timing of it had to be very precise. And here I'm staring at her and it went off a couple of times before I got it right for sure. That was a little bit, that was a nerve-wracking day for sure.
And did she lose her cool, or did she motivate
no,
you
she did.
further?
No, she was just telling me how to do it. She was very helpful. She was quite nice about it.
Fabulous. But you have another teacher now in your life in the form of, or maybe two teachers, Ayan Mukherjee and Karan Johar. What have you
Right.
imbibed from them?
What have I imbibed from them? Wow, it's a very good question. I haven't had the privilege of meeting Karan, but Ayan is super chill. I think he's also a director who kind of gives you your space. And I think as an actor, it's very important to have your director's trust, you know? So it really kind of helps you open up and do your own thing.
Hmm.
What I've learned from him, I mean, how to manage such a mammoth set with so many people and not lose your cool. I think that's definitely something to learn because it's insane. The number of people on a set on a project like Brahmastra, it's crazy. It's like Helicopter Eela was a big film, but this is an even bigger film, right?
Yeah.
It's like the number of people, the sheer number of people on set are so huge, and I think he manages to keep it together really well, which is definitely something to learn from. How to stay together, how to keep your focus, not get distracted in the cacophony, in the noise. Yeah.
And of course, how can I forget Mr. Bachchan? Have you shot with him? Have
I
you met
haven't
him?
shot with him. I haven't shot with him. I wish I was shooting with him, but I haven't shot with him.
You don't have
Not yet. Not yet.
Not yet. Not yet.
There's still some shoot left, so
You're keeping fingers crossed that I get a.
I haven't shot with him yet, but yes, I'm definitely keeping my fingers crossed. That is one of my life goals. I really want to work with him.
That will be the moment of your life, I guess.
It would definitely be one of the moments for sure. I think he's quite an institution in himself, and how much work he's done and just how he embraces each character, and each character is so different. I think there's a lot to be learned there.
Shot with Alia?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
I did. She's lovely. She's the first time we met, she gave me a big hug. Again, very chill, very no hang-ups, very embracing, very warm. We have a good time on set. So I think I've been very grateful, very lucky to work with people who have been really great to me, and that's very encouraging and helpful because you hear of a lot of stories on set of people having not such good experiences, which can be a little hard to take, especially when you're unfamiliar or rather don't know people from the industry and you're just kind of finding your way. So I'm very grateful.
I am not a blind follower of Google, but Google says that you have 2 films. So which is the other one apart from Brahmastra?
There's another film that I've just shot for. It's directed by Sudhish Kamath. He's a film critic, and he's also made a bunch of films before. And it's a lovely, lovely project, which I'm really excited about. It's very unique, very topical, very uniquely shot. And the minute those things are ready for for us to for him to okay for me to talk about, I will shout it to the world because I'm very excited about that project.
So you've done web shows, you have done films now.
Right.
I would say the third one, which you spoke about just now.
Right.
So would you consider television, if the role is good, if the role is meaty, if the role is central?
Right. I think television as a medium is extremely powerful. I find it a little hard to commit to projects that are like, a year long, 2 year long. So I think that is kind of, an issue for me. Apart from that, if there's like a short format, something where the role is fabulous, yes, why not? I would definitely love to do it. Like I said, I don't think any medium has the kind of reach that television does. So, if there's a short format, I think the thing that I was talking to a couple of producers and they said that monetizing short format content becomes a little bit of an issue on television. which they're still trying to figure. Once that kind of happens, shows like 24 and things like, well, did really well. So I would definitely be excited to be part of something like the 24 if it's to happen, on television.
Well, Rashi, thank you so much for talking to us. And I wish you all
Such
the
a
best
pleasure.
in all your future endeavors. A big thank
Thank
you
you
to you
so
from the
much.
entire team of E Times here.